Hi guys. This week in math, we're going to look another place value past the decimal compared to what we did last week. So we already know that fractions and decimals are related. So when we go past the decimal point, we are looking at decimals, but we can compare those to fractions. We learned that the first place value after the decimal is called the tenths place. Basically, it shows 1/10 of the way to the next whole number. We're going to look at the second place value, which is called the hundredths place. Right? Each digit in this one shows that you are 1/100th of the way towards the next whole number. I've given you just an example of what the place values are for kind of a big number. 3,527.94 means that the 3 is in the thousands, the 5 is in the hundreds, the 2 is in the tens, the 7 is in the ones, the 9 is in the tenths, and the 4 is in the hundredths. Those are pretty tough ones. We're going to start small. We're going to look at what happens when we're working just between 0 and 1. So if we have a fraction strip and we're starting at 0 and working our way across the fraction strip, how far do we go on each step? Now, if we're one place past the decimal, we are going 1/10 each time. So here is 1/10 of the way towards the next one. Towards 1, 2/10 of the way, 3/10 of the way, 4/10 of the way, 5/10 of the way. If this was 9/10, we would be doing all of this right here. That would be 9/10, just like in this number here. We're just leaving out the whole number that's above 1 here. Now, the hundredths place means that we are going just one small little 1/100th of the way in each step. So for 400ths, that would be just like there's 100th, 200ths, 300ths, 400ths. Now each hundredth is written as 0.01. So what I have right here is 0.04. If I was putting these numbers together, 9/10 and 400ths, well, you can see what I did is I counted every tenth and just made a bit of a darker line there. So 1/10 would be like 10 hundredths. And I mean, that makes sense equivalent fraction-wise, right? If I have 1/10, and if I multiply the top and the bottom each by 10, then I would get 10 hundredths. So if I was putting 9/10 and 400ths together on this, I would have 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, 7/10, 8/10, 9/10. Now, 9/10 would be the same thing as 90 hundredths, right? 9 times 10 is 9. 10 times 10 is 100. So here's my 9/10, and then if I put 400ths on top of that, there's 100th, 200th, 300ths, 400ths. So now on this line, I don't have 0.04, I have 0 with 9/10 and 400ths. Now we can just read that as 0 and 94 hundredths. That's a way to read that. On the following pages, I have some pictures for you guys to look at. Now the first one, I have the fraction strips, just like I just showed you with the hundredths. And I even made a darker line on mine here for 24 hundredths. Here's 10 hundredths, there's 20 hundredths, and then there's 4 more hundredths here. You have to tell me what the decimal form of each one is. Remember that 1/100th is 0.01. So what would 6 hundredths be? Now, as we get into the bigger ones, like 24 hundredths, remember that 24 would be 2/10 and 4 hundredths, or 24 hundredths come all together. Here I have 76 hundredths. One last thing before I sign off is that those fraction strips isn't the way that we normally show hundredths. It's the way that it compares to the way we've been working, but typically when we show when we show hundredths, we show it in an area model square like this. Now, usually we use this area model square for multiplying or dividing, but we can also think of it as just one whole square that's been divided into 100 equal pieces. You might notice that when I do one of them, that's 1/100th or 0.01. If I was doing tenths, I would only do these, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and there's the 10th one there. So if I wanted to do a whole one of these, that would be 0.1. So take a look in these. If I have 500ths, what would that be in decimal form? Right here, I have 8200ths. What would that be in decimal form? Remember, that would be 8 tenths and 200ths. Then I have 3 more here that are shown slightly different, but it's 2700ths, 4700ths, and 8600ths. Show me the decimal form of all of those. I'll be back with a review video right away, guys, and that will help you check your answers. All right, thanks, guys.